Sorry. Cool. Good morning. Good morning, viewers. Thank you for tuning in to our Brown Sisters Speak coffee chat with social justice advocate Gina Antonini. I want to also welcome replay viewers. Thank you for watching again. This morning, we are here again with Gina Antonini. She's a social justice advocate. But before we start with Gina, I'll introduce myself as Maisha T, the founder of Brown Sisters Speak. We are a nonprofit organization supporting women of color living with or supporting a loved one through mental illness. Our mission is to offer peer support, education, advocacy, and tools to use for women of color to feel supported while going through, living with, and dealing with a mental health issue. Gina has been a great advocate in my life. She is an amazing entrepreneur and social justice advocate. You're welcome. She has her undergrad, her bachelor's from USC.
Correct.
And you want to go ahead, Gina, and let's hear a little bit about you and yourself.
Sure. As Maisha shared, I'm a social justice advocate. I love going out into the community and inspiring others to know their rights and how to be able to use their rights in our social justice today. There's so many things that are going on, and we can go on and on about that subject, but just a little bit about my sister story. I grew up in a household where my mother was on medication, and for many, many years, I was in an abusive relationship, my very first 7-year relationship, and didn't realize it until after 7 years, he hit me. And I went to many years of counseling, and I tried really hard not to go on medication because I felt if you go on medication, it's a stigma, it's bad. Fast forward several years, I was engaged to be married, and the gentleman cheated on me 8 months before we were supposed to get married. And I totally freaked out. And I just decided, you know what? I'm going to go on medication. And to this day, I've been taking medication now, God, since 2005. But I'll tell you, my mom sat down and shared with me that her mother was schizophrenic. And that was never shared with us because it was always swept under the rug because of the stigma of mental illness. And so throughout these years, since I started taking medication, I found out what my mother's been through, what my aunts and uncles have been through. And my little brother is actually on medication as well. He freaked out and had an anxiety attack on a plane, which I was on, talking to the stewardess. And she said, oh, we need to pull back to the gate because a gentleman needs to get out off the plane because he's freaking out. I'm like, really? And it ended up being my brother. So we talk about it a lot. I actually have another brother who does not feel he needs to be on medication and actually has taken himself away from the family, except for my little brother. And I'm hoping that one day he'll realize that it's not a stigma. People live with it every day. And hopefully one day he'll get help to where we can all be a family again. So that's kind of a little bit about my story.
That is a powerful sister story. And for those of you who don't know what a sister story is, our sister story gives insight to who our guest is, how they discovered they or themselves had a mental illness, and their process of living with it, supporting someone with it, or recovering from it. And finally, sharing how owning that mental health story is helping them now in their field. It's pretty powerful what you said about medication, Gina, because there is that stigma of being on medication. What are your words? I know we're not at the end yet, but what are your words for someone who's struggling with the decision to take medication?
You know, it's well, first off, I call it Prozac is my best friend. I say that all the time. I can tell when I run out of my meds and I haven't taken the time to go to the pharmacy, which is something that I own for myself and that I need to take time out in my schedule to make sure that I'm taken care of mentally and health-wise. But I can tell the difference when I'm not on meds. And as we're going to talk about premenopause and menopause, we'll talk about how being on medication, mental medication can help through this process, but there'll be other things that will occur. But my mom knows, she can tell she's on medication as well. And so if I have Prozac and I have my coffee, I'm all good. It's a good thing. Good day in the neighborhood. I've had 3 cups of coffee, 1 shot of espresso, so it's all good this morning.
That is so funny. You said if I have my Prozac
My coffee.
and my coffee, I am all good. That is great. And it's so awesome to have you speak to that because a lot of people wouldn't say that.
You know, I struggled with it. I really struggled whether to go on medication or not. And I talked to my best friend who is very much into natural homeopathic. And
Uh-huh.
she basically sat down and said, look, if it's going to help you, it's going to help you. I mean, living every day to the best of your ability, if something is stopping you from doing that and stopping you from being happy, there's nothing wrong with taking something that's going to help you. I mean, we have one life to live. So if taking medication is going to help us get through the day and make us happy and be able to do what we love to do, and as you and I both, we love being out in the community helping others, we have to be right with ourselves and we have to be healthy, because if we're not healthy, we can't help anyone else.
Exactly. That's a powerful message. I'm gonna if we are not healthy,
We can't help others to be healthy.
can't help others. So it almost seems like that medication is a tool for you.
Absolutely. And I know, like I said, there are times where I don't make time in my schedule, and you and I have talked about scheduling our life, because that is very important, especially when you're dealing with some mental health issues. When I don't schedule a time to pick up my meds on time when I'm running out, or don't call my prescription in time to pick up, then yes, I can tell. And, you know, stress is a big cursor for mental health. People need to be able to, like we talked about, schedule your life and schedule your activities so that you can put everything else into play. I feel when things are on a schedule, I'm eating good, I'm taking my meds, I can deal with anything that comes my way.
That's awesome, Gina. That's great.
And I just want to tell you, Aisha, you're a very big inspiration to me and in my life. And since I've met you, I've come to terms with a lot of things in my life as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank God. That is my thank God and thank the universe, because that's part of my life's calling, is to support women who to feel comfortable to recognize, you know, they're going through something, or there's an issue there that they can't get through. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And I believe everyone comes into everyone's life for a reason, and we just happen to meet, you know, at a Mary Kay party, and
Yeah.
formed a friendship automatically right away, and there was a reason for that.
I believe that, from Mary Kay and onward.
That's right. Let's
That was,
change the world, sister.
I know, right?
One life at a time.
Right? Okay, so let's dig into our topic of menopause and mental health. All right, so look, I'm getting up in age. I'm not at the menopause stage yet, but it doesn't mean we can't talk about it, because I need to know for myself with a mental health issue, you know, what to be prepared for.
Let me tell you, it's a process. Lately, I'm just gonna be real. So when we start going through the premenopausal state, we stop having a period. They state once you've gone a whole year, you're done. Well, I went 9 months, then had a period. I was like, ugh, really? Then I went again 11 months and I had a period, and that was just recently. But I've been finding myself very emotional. Highs and lows, frustration, anxiety, headaches, having a hard time sleeping. I've even called you when I needed someone to talk to, just to listen. I wasn't actually going to say anything. I just wanted to hear a friendly voice, and you caught it in my voice that something was wrong with me. So as women, as we go through this time, we should not be afraid to reach out to somebody so somebody can listen to you, just to hear you speak. They don't even have to say anything. That's like one of the best things, is when you have a friend that you can reach out to and say, hey, can you just listen to what's going on? My mom comes into the office because we all share an office together. We're all entrepreneurs and we share an office. And she's like, is it okay to walk into your office today? Just, you know, because she knows I'm having my highs and my lows. And I personally don't want to go on medication for menopause. I want to go the natural homeopathic way. So I've been reaching out actually to some of the sisters in Brown Sisters Speak, our support group, as well as some other friends, to find out ways to deal with menopause as I'm going through the process. So just know that I mean, we need to decide first off as we go through it, do we have an emotional depression that we need to deal with outside of menopause? Um, I'm lucky because I'm already on medication. I already know that I'm depressed and have anxiety, so I'm lucky to have already been on medication. But as others come through this stage, our hormonal levels go up and down, and sometimes it can be depression and it can be hormonal. So we need to maybe seek out and find help from a doctor or something. Um, and just know that depression is treatable. I mean, that's what we're here for. We're here to discuss that portion. And doctors can recommend different lifestyle changes. It could be food that, it could be alcohol, it could be drugs. I mean, anything that you have or doing could affect your emotional state. Not saying, I mean, I know people that smoke marijuana to help them with their depression and anxiety. I mean, it's however you want to deal with it. But as you're approaching my age, and I'll be real, I'm 51. Thank you, Mary Kay. I don't look it.
No, you don't.
You know what I'm saying? Mary Kay is a great thing. It increases your anxiety, it increases your stress level, and actually, it's really funny. Fear has actually taken place too, which I haven't experienced in a long time. So fear, am I doing the right thing? Fear, when you're 51, I'm hoping I'm in midlife right now, because as people are living longer lives as we grow older, but we just have to realize that we're going to decreasing levels of our estrogen or hormonal levels. And I've been experiencing hot flashes, hot sweats. Oh my gosh. I walk into, and I don't sweat, and I walk into and going, oh my gosh, what is going on? I can't handle it. I think one of the biggest things though are the headaches that I've been having problems with, and the not sleeping. So there are natural homeopathic ways to deal with the not sleeping. I go in for surgery next week, so I'll be on major pain meds, but when I'm off the pain meds, I'm going to go on melatonin. So hopefully that will help me sleep better. I'm just going to have to live through the hot flashes and the sweating. But all I say is don't isolate yourself. Don't get frustrated. Reach out. Sometimes going through premenopause and menopause will stop you from functioning and doing things that you want to do, going out with your friends. Try not to isolate yourself to your home. Still go out. Make yourself go out. Lately, I've been doing that at my mom's. I have a small dog, and I don't like leaving her home by herself. So I asked my mom to watch. She's like, sure, if you're going to go out and enjoy yourself and do something, absolutely, I will. So just remember that can happen, and just recognize the signs. So some of the signs of menopause is irritability, frustration, anger outbursts, anxiety, restlessness, agitation, feeling guilty, and worthlessness. Now, we all know as women, we put others first, and we take care of everyone but ourselves. So we have to make sure that we do take care of ourselves and realize our worth, because it's not for us. If you have children, your children can function. If you have other people in your life you take care of, you have older parents or whatever, if it wasn't for you, they wouldn't be able to be taken care of. So we, again, have to worry about our health. You might also have loss of interest in activities I used to enjoy. Even going through menopause, I have not experienced this myself, but I've had friends who experience lack of wanting to have sex with their partners. Just know that that's part of the journey, and share it with your partner so they know it's not them. Trouble concentrating and making decisions, maybe even lapse of memory, lack of energy, sleeping too little, sleeping too much. Now, I can go through not sleeping for a week to wanting to sleep 2 or 3 days straight. So changes in appetites and unexplained physical pain. So just understanding that's what's going to happen this journey, and addressing those issues. Again, you might want to reach out to your doctor, counselor, tune into our Brown Sister Speak support group, and just find out what can help you. If you want to go the medication route, great, talk to your doctor. If you want to go through the natural homeopathic, reach out to a natural healthcare center that helps with that, or ask the girls in our group. I've reached out, and they've been great on helping me figure out what to do.
Awesome. And so for those of you who don't, no,
I hear you.
Okay, don't know what menopause is? Okay, menopause is a natural process in our life as women that marks the permanent end of our menstruation and fertility. So it means that we're no longer able to have children. And it's a period where our ovaries stop making eggs and our bodies produce less estrogen and progesterone. And it's confirmed when we have no period for 12 months in a row. Um,
That's right.
the average age, yep, the average age is between 45 and 55. But some women can enter this before the age of 40, and that's called premature menopause. And so the factors of premature menopause could be an autoimmune disorder, such as celiac disease, smoking, and surgery, such as a hysterectomy. Um, so that's the basis for menopause. And Gina gave a great overview of some of the signs and symptoms.
And if I could just say one more thing too, is reach out to your mother. Unfortunately, my mother had a hysterectomy in her early 40s, so I couldn't find out when she went through menopause. And also menopause might be different for me because I never had children. So, and that's also another thing I'm dealing with as well, going through this emotional journey, is the fact is I thought I was over the fact I wasn't going to have children, but going through this menopausal process, I'm starting to, the subject's coming back up again. And it's very hard to know that I'm never going to look at a child and see my face. And you know what I'm saying? Having someone that looks at you and be able to see what the future holds. But thank God I have two nephews that my legacy can live through. And I have to
that has to be difficult. There has to be a lot of, I guess, with being menopausal and the realization that you can't have children, there's like that cycle of grief that I can imagine that you're going through, you know. But I love your outlook on how, you know, I might not have my own, but I have my nephews that I can have a legacy through.
Well, the grief is there though. There are times where I look at children, you know, my friends are having babies now. I have a lot of friends who are younger. One of my best friends in college just had a baby, and I can't wait to see her, but I know that I'm going to go through a little grief process when I do. And it's not her fault. You know, I have to love my friend and love the baby just as much, but that I know it's going to just be another process that I'm going to go through and own it and live through it. And I know I can do that and know that, yes, I do have my legacy still.
Yeah. And for those of you who are watching, and please don't take this as medical advice. We are not licensed practitioners. We are just sharing our stories in hopes to support someone else who's going through maybe a similar issue. But there are many different explanations to the grief cycle, the cycle of grief. But I can give a brief overview. It begins with and it's a cycle, it's a circle. It starts with the loss, the shock, the denial, which then leads to the detached, the isolation, being angry, denial, anxiety, why, being depressed. And then eventually that cycles into growth with the acceptance, optimism, and release. But just because you grow through it doesn't mean you still won't feel those symptoms, as Gina was saying.
Absolutely.
And it's okay. It's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to have that up and down cycle of emotions, because eventually it'll just even itself out, right?
Right. And then realize that growth, that whole cycle, grief to growth, is going to happen almost in anything you do in life. Just so you know that it's going to happen, and to embrace it as you're going through it, and finding a way to deal with each one of those aspects that you go through that process with.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's see. Gina, did you want to go into any more information about menopause, signs, symptoms?
No, I just really wanted people to realize that as you're going through this, just know it's a change that's happening within you as a woman, and embrace it. I'm telling you, I thought my 40s were great, but my 50s are amazing. And I'm embracing every year that I have on this earth, that the good Lord has allowed me to open up my eyes and live another day. And 50s are great. I'm still going out there dating, never been married, engaged 3 times. That's a totally different story that we could talk another time. But there are some grief and growth processes through each of those times. But embrace who you are, and embrace you as a woman, and know that, you know, what happens, everything that happens to you, everything that you feel is important, and it's your story, and to live your story. And when you need the help, to always reach out to somebody else, because someone is out there who has either experienced it or can help you get through it. We're not alone. We're not by ourselves.
Absolutely. You are absolutely right about that. Sometimes we go through these situations and we think, oh, it's just me and no one's going through it, but you never know.
And that's what's so great about this group. If you have other friends that are having problems and searching for a place where they can be real, be themselves, not have to worry about other people thinking differently of them, and join them to come to our group and be part of it. It's amazing.
Yeah, and one thing about the group is that you can just sit there and watch and be encouraged and inspired. A lot of our group members don't speak, and that's fine. You know, being vulnerable is hard because we've grown up in a society that have taught us that as women we have no voice, we have no power, we're to be seen and not heard. We've been in different abuse situations where we've been so violated that we're not even comfortable owning our stories and sharing that part of ourselves.
Oh, and being minorities as well. I mean, that plays a big part in our culture and where we come from, and how we embrace. I mean, my mother never embraced her being a Latina. She wanted to embrace that she was white, and she's darker than I am. So even not living through those issues and dealing with those issues can have a hard time make you understand who you are as a person, as a woman, as a minority, as a brown sister. I mean, it's just amazing. I'll tell you a quick story. My best friend in college, well, she's my best friend since I was 18, sat me down after we graduated. Well, when we were in high school, after I graduated from high school, and I was sheltered. I went to a Catholic school all my life, didn't know the difference, didn't know what color I was, didn't know what to expect out in life. And she sat me down at 18 and said, look, you are not white enough to pass for white corporate America. You are of Latin origin. People are going to see you as a brown person, and you're going to be treated differently. And I was like, no way, because that's not how I grew up. And lo and behold, that's exactly how it was. And that was a whole nother dealing process, and that's even a grief and growth process in itself.
It's hard for people, us brown sisters, to fit in that mode of corporate America.
Oh, absolutely.
And
being a woman first and then being of color, that's like a double check.
And I think moving forward, I'll have to see if we can get Zoraida and Dior to come on to speak to the Latina. So in the African American culture, we have team light skin versus dark skin. And what I'm learning from Zoraida in the Latin community, it's similar. Oh, there's like the whiteness factor and blending in as a white woman versus embracing your Latina heritage and being vulnerable and being open. I know Dior Vargas spoke to this a few months back about, you know, her mom not wanting her to learn just a lot. It's just a lot.
It's also
a really heavy conversation.
Right. It's also a language barrier too. I don't speak Spanish. My grandfather came up from Mexico, didn't teach the language to his younger daughters, and my mom was one of them. And so I'm not Latin enough to some people because I don't speak the language, and I'm not white enough to be part of white corporate America or, you know, the chosen society. So sometimes we don't even fit in with our own people. And as you said, and I'm sure that they talked about this, in every Latin culture, you can have, you know, white-skinned, red hair, green eyes to being dark, you know, in every Latin culture. And I guess my goal in life is to start a nonprofit where we bring the Latin and the African American communities together to talk about subjects as in mental health, talk about social justice issues, hence my advocacy, because I think society divides and conquers us, and we fight each other for resources and for help instead of coming together and doing it together.
Yep.
And we as a society need to come and fight the fight together.
Exactly. I agree with that 100%. We do. That's what the system was set up for us to divide amongst.
Absolutely.
You know, we can trace this conversation back to slavery when after slavery they created different systems in place for Black African people to not thrive.
Well, think about it. Your people were brought from Africa and brought here, right? Well, our
Mm-hmm.
land was taken away from us and we were put into slavery because they didn't know
Yeah.
warm weather farming and made us do it for them. So
Yep.
in essence, we had the same plight in life. We
Yep.
we just came to it the same we came to the same spot in a different way. And I
Mm-hmm.
just think that if we came together, like I said, in society, we would be a force to reckon with.
I believe it. And I agree 100%. I definitely know that if we took our differences and set them aside and came together as people of color, we could definitely, wow, that rise to power as
I'm
people of
telling you.
color would be amazing. So real quick, you said something when you're talking about menopause about your moodiness. And I know you and I have been using this new cool tech tool to track our moods, right?
You know, it's kind of cool because when I don't go to it, it automatically comes up on my dashboard and says, "How are you feeling today?" And it allows you to write notes in, so it's kind of cool. So, are you bringing it up on the screen?
Yeah, I'm trying to bring it up on the screen. I'm gonna click it. Oh, never mind. It won't come up. But I put it over here in the notes too, and I'll add it in YouTube.
Okay,
What is
it's amazing. I called Maisha one night. That was the night I called to see how she was doing because I knew she had had a bad day, and she's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "You know, I'm having a hard time journaling because I'm so busy during the day, and at nighttime, I have my laptop stays in my office, and I don't like to write because I can't read my writing once I've written." She's like, "Well, let's try to find a tool for you online." And so we went through apps and we found this amazing app, and I fell in love with it because it actually asks you, "How are you feeling today?" It's like going to the doctor's office and saying, "Okay, what's your pain level today?" And they show you different pictures of happy faces
yeah.
to sad faces. So the app works the same way. And then you can put your own notes in it. So you can journal your what's happening. Like I'm going to journal my menopause traveling through life. The same thing, you can do anything you're going through at the present moment, you can journal through this app.
And let me show you guys what it looks like. It's called Dailyo. It's really cool. So like you can, I don't know, you can't really see my screen. Yeah, it's blurry. So yeah,
So
you
I
can
can
see it a
see it
little bit.
now.
Okay, you can tell you like I've been feeling meh for a couple days because I had insomnia the other night and I was up all night. And so my mood was meh. It's like I feel And the cool thing about it is that it's an app, and I have several apps on my phone. This is green one here at the bottom, Dailyo. And there's a password. So no one can go and see what you're writing, which is amazing because I have children. They play on my phone, and my child is old enough to say, "Mommy, what does man mean? And why are you mad?" You know? So it's just a great tool to use to track your moods. And it's just like a private diary. And you don't write anything.
Right, but make sure you set your pin because I did not and did not know there was a pin. Thank you very much, Maisha, for letting me know that.
Oh.
It says right here, I don't know if you guys can see it, but it says set your pin. So
Oh.
some of the things that you can hit, like on Tuesday, which is the day I called you, I felt fugly. So it's kind of cute. And then yesterday I felt rad because I went through the Jelly Belly factory and had some wine tasting. So yeah, it helps.
Excuse me, please stop. Don't do that. Yeah, so let me see if I can find Dailyo. It's on Twitter. We're gonna shout them out a tweet on our Twitter page. So if you're following Brown Sisters Speaks on Twitter, definitely check out our tweet to Dailyo as a top tool for mental health emotion for mood tracking.
It is important to track your mood so it kind of knows where you're at. Maybe some of your triggers, because that was a huge thing that Maisha taught me was triggers. Maisha's taught me a lot since we've met. And then to own when I make a mistake, like yesterday when I ran out of gas and I was on my way to meet Maisha. I owned it. I kind of suck. I apologize. I take full ownership of that. So just knowing that things are going to happen and to roll with it, basically.
Yep. And so we just tweeted Dailyo. So be on the lookout. We'll probably do another tutorial through Brown Sisters Speak today. to show you guys actually how it works, how it functions, and we'll post that on our YouTube channel, so that you guys can also have a tool to use to help you track your moods. And what I'm learning about Daylio is that it's a fairly new app. It just came out. Isn't it amazing how we just found this really great tool?
I know.
And living with cyclothymia, I've tried a lot of tools, and they, for me, because I call this my autism side, because my children have autism, and I'm sure I'm a carrier of that gene. I learned through pictures, and it took me to watch Temple Grandin to hear her say she learned through pictures for me to realize I too learned through pictures. And so the one thing about the Daylio app that works for me is that it's picture based, and I can communicate my feelings through that. So we highly recommend that app for you guys to use.
I do want to say something. I am too a visual learner. I have actually a learning disability that I found out in college when I went back to school in my 30s, where I learned visually. So every time I actually, it's really funny when you go through something, your body kind of like figures out a way around things to help you. Like I would read out loud, and that was a way for me because I was visually seeing it and audibly hearing it. So I actually did that on my own without anyone telling me that. But I found that, again, when I went to college, I had this disorder, this learning disability. And so everything that I see, and when I used to study, I would put everything in graphs so that I would personally see it in my head as I was taking tests and writing papers. So don't be afraid if you have a learning disability, or if you have slight autism, or if you're ADD, because I believe I'm ADD as well, thanks to my dad. Depression for my mother, ADD for my dad. Embrace everything about yourself. Don't put yourself down. Don't think that you're less smart. I have a pretty high IQ, and I graduated with above average GPA at USC than most students who graduate. So don't put yourself down because you have problems. Just find the way to work through it to help you be the best person that you can be.
Yep. Those are top tips right there, Gina. That's a whole blog post.
I know, right?
I'm telling you to blog. I need you to write that in the blog post. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's it's really important that when we have especially if you are watching us and you're a college student or you're a mom and you're going back to school, know your challenges and go to your disability support services office at your university. They even have them at community colleges. And ask for tests. Ask where you can go to get testing, because if you know that you are a visual or auditory learner, then you have the right to request to get your college books. Like I'm going to be getting audio books this year, because for me I have to process it auditorially. Thank you. And I also have to see it.
So you're going to listen while you read. They're going to put them on tapes for you. That's how I got through college. Yep. So there's nothing wrong with that. There's no stigma, especially community college. They have great DSPS offices. Thank you, Chabot College, for your DSPS office. You texted me, gave me what I needed. So when I went on to USC, I was able to go to their DSPS office and take my test, get extra time, take them in a quiet environment. Because with learning disabilities, it's hard to be around other people and hearing other information. So please help yourself help you to get through it. Yeah. And by the way, it's never too late to go to college. I went in my 30s. I have a friend right now getting her master's in her 60s. Do it. It's the best thing ever.
It adds to your knowledge base, and it's a lot of people like, oh, don't go to college, it's a waste of money. I mean, you can look at it that way, but for me, I'm in college right now too. It's a networking opportunity. All my professors are world-renowned professors, and I can go to them and say, hey, doctor, I need help with Brown Sisters Speak. How can we merge this, and how can you help me write a proposal? So just think of college as a tool to get you where you want to go to the next level in life. And you never know, your professor may know the publisher for Time Magazine, and you may have a feature in Time Magazine coming up.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that's what's happening for me. Maybe I'm speaking that into existence and I don't know it.
You are going to be manifesting it.
I think that's what's happening, but you just never know who your professors can connect you with to get you to that next level in life. So
let me tell you,
I'm an advocate for college.
I agree. I went to Cal State East Bay during one of my summer breaks from USC, and I was taking a linguistics class, and they actually were using the textbook that my professor at USC wrote. And so I was doing study groups, and the associate professor who was teaching the class said, go to Gina, that's her instructor at USC, she'll help you get through the class. I'm like, no, I don't get paid to do that, but if you'd like to join my study group, it would be awesome. But you never know who your professors are or where they come from or what outlooks they have. And also, if you are in college and you do have a learning disability, actually, I don't, whether you have a learning disability or not, those professors need to know your first name, who you are, by person. So if anything ever happens, you can go to them and they will be there for you. If you need to turn a paper in late, or you have, like I said, I have a learning disability. So I was actually writing my last paper for my East Asian ethical thought class the night before graduation. So you always want to know who your professors are. You want them to know you by first name, and you want them to know your story. So you don't feel that you're lost and by yourself. Because I'm going to tell you, going from a community college to a four-year institution, I don't know how those 18-year-olds do it. But at 36, when I went to USC, I thought they were speaking a different language. And I went to my professors, and it helps a lot to get through the process. And also reach out to your, like at USC, we had a place where Latin students can get help. We had a place where African-American students to get help. And I was also the minority director for the USC student government. So I worked with all these entities at the college. And so there's always places to find help, and mental illness help as well.
Yep. There's always resources for you. Don't be, I mean, it's hard to be vulnerable. It's hard to ask for help when you're in those dark places, but just, we'll have another coffee chat in a couple of weeks that give you tips on how to get your resources, how to pull everything together. That's what these coffee chats are for. They're to give you experts such as Gina. They're to give you everyday women coming on board, sharing their stories and sharing what they're doing to help them get through what they're going through. So with that in mind, we want to thank you for tuning in to today's coffee chat.
We do.
Thank you, Gina Antonini,
thank you, Maisha,
for your advice and wisdom. And we will see you in 2 weeks, because Brown Sisters Speak has a public event next week in the community. So we will not be having a coffee chat, but we'll see you in 2 weeks, and look forward to our special guest. She's pretty awesome. I'm really looking forward to introducing you to her. You guys have a great day. Bye. Thanks, Gina.
Bye,
Happy Saturday. You're welcome.